You're listening to Through Our Lens with the Disabled and Non-Disabled Alliance at Sacramento State, a club, organization, whatever, for disabled students, staff, and their allies to discuss and educate each other about disability-related topics, advocate on behalf of disabled students and the community, and to hang out together and just be a community.
So we want to be more recognizable to Sac State. So please join the conversation by following and messaging us on Instagram at Dana at Sac State. It's DANA at Sac State. Hi. Hey everyone. Welcome to the 12th episode of Through Our Lens with the Disabled and Non-Disabled Alliance. This is a podcast where we have a conversation on disability. My name is Brian Tao, and I'm one of the officers and the host of the podcast. Our topic today is going to be on transportation accessibility in public transit and in the air or on the airplane. And as always, it's going to be a very free-form format, so expect a conversation with many tangents, just like how a regular conversation would go. Today, I'm just here with the founder of Dana, Rian. It's just going to be the two of us, so it's going to be pretty chill.
Hi.
Yeah, to kind of get us started, I wanted to go over some of the laws that's associated with public transit. So under the ADA Title II, public transportation agencies can't refuse service to people with disabilities, and must provide them with reasonable accommodations. For example, in the bus and the trains, in every station they stop at, they have to have stop announcements for blind people, because blind people can't read and tell what station they're at. So I guess voice announcements is helpful. And other ones is lift and ramps accommodations, and it's for wheelchair users or people with difficulties with walking, and it kind of helps them get onto the bus or train. And there are handrails, and it's for people with difficulties with taking steps or walking in general. But outside of these reasonable accommodations for buses and trains, there's paratransit. So if you're unable to use public transit because of your disability, then you have access to paratransit, where basically a bus picks you up and drops you off from a location. And that's basically the entire laws associated with it. They have to have reasonable accommodations for people living with disabilities. And then we can get talking about it. Rian, do you have any experiences with public transit?
I do. I've been on buses plenty of times before, as well as trains and airlines. So I think, surprisingly, being on an airplane is far more frequent for me than all the rest combined, because of how frequently our family flies for meeting up with family friends on the East Coast, especially every other Christmas. Being on a plane is terrifying. Just putting that out there. But I do want to add with paratransit, I don't have any personal experience with it, but I talked extensively about it with my power soccer teammates, who occasionally use it to get to work or to get to practice. And it's not the most reliable service out there. You need to schedule it at least a few days in advance, if not a week in advance. So, if you have any urgent business that you need to get transported to, you're kind of fresh out of luck. And the window for being picked up and dropped off is incredibly varied. They could be hours late or really early for either. So it's kind of hard to rely on them for things that are time sensitive, like getting to work. So it's not the most helpful thing out there, but it is a good thing that it exists. It just needs a lot of improvement.
It's not
that's
the
from
best.
my own personal experiences. The only thing scarier than watching the airline workers almost drop your wheelchair onto the tarmac is getting onto the train with the lift, because the Amtrak cars, there's like several cars that have lifts on them so you can get into the train. You can't get to the second floor into any other cars or anything, but you can get into that one specific car that has the lift. And that is the only thing scarier than airplanes, because when they're not the newest things and it's only supported on one side when it comes in and out and goes up and down. So, when I put all of my 600 pounds onto the lift wheelchair and go, it tilts down to the side every time. And every time it freaks me out because it feels like it's about to break and drop me.
Yeah, it's pretty stressful. Yeah, for me, like I don't have much experience in public transit. It's mostly because my parents and like my brothers like don't want me to ride it because it's like kind of unsafe at times on like I guess cities and stuff. But like I like public transit. I want to ride it. I don't want it to make it more accessible. And like talking about like Amtrak, I have like a little bit of experience with it. I haven't like gone on the buses, but been on the trains. And like it's just like a ramp to kind of get in. But it sucks that we can't go like upstairs. Upstairs is where it's like beautiful. It's where you can see all like the mountains, the scenery. Downstairs, like you can't see anything except for one window or two windows. Sucks.
They have windows, but it's not the greatest view. Also upstairs, I think is depending on the train, is where the sleeping quarters are. So I don't know what they do.
No,
for
accessible
upstairs sleeping quarters for the overnight rides.
Yeah, I think for the overnight rides, it's just gonna be I guess like on the first floor, and it's just like a small room. But upstairs, there's like a sky view, so it's like the windows are like a lot bigger, so you can see a lot more stuff, and you can see the sky too. It's a lot more
really
open.
cool.
Yeah, sucks that we can't go on it. Like I'm wondering like why. I guess like why can't we just stay upstairs forever instead of being like downstairs? It sucks.
Yeah. I think my favorite out of them all is buses, specifically the intercity buses, because in Sacramento, because their ramps are in four, so they just kind of slide out onto the sidewalk. Like they unfold from the floor. It's really cool to watch.
Yeah.
And then you just roll on. You don't have to like wait for the lift to bring you up or anything. My only complaint is how narrow the entrance can be. I've hit my chair on it several times getting on and off the bus. But otherwise, it's a pretty standard and normal experience that's pretty low hassle. I don't like the bigger buses, the cross county ones, because they have the same type of lift the Amtrak lift
The lift
is. So, nerves. And sometimes they have to like remove seating to make room for you, and it just takes a lot longer, and it's clear that they're like annoyed or unprepared for it. So yeah, I do have favorites. I am biased. I have favorites.
Yeah, another thing for like buses, like I guess bus drivers have to tie you down, like right?
Yeah, they have these tie downs that kind of hook onto the floor, and then there's a spool of rope on the inside of it that unwinds as you take the hook out to hook it on your chair. They legally need to put it on you because it's the only thing keeping your chair from sliding around as they drive.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. And I guess like we could talk about like how bus drivers like don't really care or don't even like pick up like people with like in wheelchairs. And I guess I never had that experience before, but I heard like stories about it. And that's awful.
To me personally, I think it happens like maybe a third to a half of the time when I ride. Most bus drivers are pretty nice.
Yeah.
And aren't at all bothered by you, but other drivers make it very obvious when they don't feel that way. and it's
Mm-hmm.
really awkward because
It
it's
is
like
really awkward.
I'm just using the service you've advertised. I'm minding my own business, doing my thing. I'm not trying to make your life more difficult, you know. Um, but the thing that gets me the most personally is the limited spots available
Yeah. I was
for
just gonna talk
wheelchair
about that.
users.
There's only two, right?
Yeah, there's literally only like 2 spots, and um several times when I've ridden, there's been somebody else there with me, which meant that the spots are full,
Yeah.
and there would be another wheelchair user waiting at the next stop and, needing to get a ride, but they
Mm-hmm.
couldn't get on and they'd have to wait like, another 30 minutes for the next bus to show up.
Yeah, it sucks.
It there needs to be more options there. You can't like how unfair is it for there to be like dozens of regular seats available, but you can't get on because you can't
Mhm.
use the regular seats? Like,
Yeah, it sucks. It's awful. Yeah, I have started to kind of tell. Like in high school, I went to a field trip to UC Davis from like South Sac, and like in order to kind of get there, we used public transit. We used like a bus. So from like downtown Sacramento, we took a bus all the way down to like UC Davis, and that was like a pretty cool trip. But like when we were coming back, for some reason we took the wrong bus. So we took a bus to the airport and then down to downtown Sac for some reason. It was stupid. But the reason why I want to talk about that is because there was a person, I guess like in a scooter at the airport, and it sucks. It sucks that they were like expecting to kind of go in, but the bus driver was like, "No, I can't. There's no more space." And like that's,
yeah.
I feel kind of bad in a way. It's like, damn, all the spots are taken. Also, all the spots were taken because I had like my other classmate who was in a wheelchair too. Uh,
Yeah.
it was like a double field trip, or it was a field trip for the both of us. But like, it sucks. I feel bad. Do you feel bad when that happens?
Yeah, it makes you feel guilty because you're like, "Oh, if I weren't here, then they could take the bus." But it's completely ridiculous because
Mm-hmm.
like you shouldn't have to compete for resources like that. Like I really don't understand why they can't take out a couple more seats so there are 4 spaces on the bus
Mm-hmm.
instead of 2. Or there should be some sort of workaround to this, right?
Yeah, there should be
Like
solutions and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they can do like, I guess like four in a way because it's like if you're like behind someone, then like you can't get out like yourself, like right? It's like a whole like
it
complicated
depends. I mean,
situation.
if there's enough room to the side, then
Hmm. I know, like for me, when I went to like UC Davis, like there was like I guess like not enough space to kind of like if there's a wheelchair user behind me, there wasn't enough space to kind of for them to go out and like
oh,
exit, and
yeah.
like I get it just complicates things like that.
Yeah.
If yeah, so there's not like a clear solution like for that, but maybe like they could have like two ramps, one ramp in the front, one ramp like on the side, or like towards the back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then they have to like change some more stuff, I think. Yeah.
It'd be worth it though. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
yawning. I'm
Yeah.
very
It's
tired
pretty
for
worth it.
today for no reason.
I'm tired too. To be honest. Yeah, all of us are tired.
It'd be worth it though to put in those
Hmm.
changes, even if they take a lot of work to implement.
Yeah.
Because like the way things are now, like what is the guy supposed to do if he needs to get to work and his only ride says no,
Is
we
the
can't
bus?
take
Yeah.
you. There's no space left.
Yeah, it sucks. Okay. Let's talk about like the train system.
Okay.
So basically, there's like yeah, it's a ramp that kind of goes down like to the entrance. So like I guess which users can just like enter, and like to kind of get off, you have to ask like I guess like the conductor and or the person that's sitting in the
Yeah.
front, ask
Yeah,
them or
you
tell
have to
them.
inform
Yeah,
the worker that gets you settled
yeah,
when you're getting off, and then they communicate that to the conductor so that they know. to keep the doors open and keep the train still while you're getting off.
Oh wait, usually
Um,
usually it's just one person. Like from my experience, it's just one person. Like the conductor does everything, and that's kind of bad. But like you just have to tell them what street you're getting off or what station you're getting off.
Is that for Japan or?
Oh, it's not for
'Cause I'm
Japan at all.
talking about Amtrak.
Oh, you're talking about Amtrak.
Yeah.
I'm talking about trains in like in like Sacramento and like the
Oh,
local
okay. Oh, you mean the light rail?
light rail. Yeah,
The light rail. That's not a train, but yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a train in a way, but okay, it makes
Kind of.
sense.
But
Light rail.
but yeah, you have to talk to the conductor. It's like a bus train. It's like a bus if a bus and a train had a baby. That's a really weird thought.
It's not
Disregard that.
weird.
But
It's not weird at all.
yeah, you have to talk to the conductor directly, let them know what your stop is, so that they know when you're getting off, because it's hard to signal to them when you're like stuck in the corner there in your chair. And they have to put the ramp out for you, which is the other reason. The ramp doesn't go out automatically at every stop. He has to manually pull it out for you.
Yeah.
So that's why you need to tell the conductor.
I mean, I wish that it could be like, I guess the ramp just automatically goes down no matter what, so you don't have to ask like anyone.
Yeah, you just get up and go.
Yeah, you just get up and go. Yeah, I know. Like, I was talking to supervisor Phil Sterna, like on one of my field trips, to like Sacramento and stuff. And he was saying that they're working on that. They're working on like ramps just to kind of like, yeah, working on that. For you
Nice.
just to, for you just to get on the ramp like automatically without having to ask for help. Because I don't know, like sometimes like I guess like you don't want to ask for help sometimes. It gets kind of annoying, like for me.
And I'm sure the conductor would be glad to,
Yeah.
be able to make sure it's deployed without having to get up from a seat so often, and I say his because I've only ever seen male conductors, but there are female conductors too. But it's good for both the passenger and the conductor because there's less for both of them to do. There's less responsibility and worry there.
Yeah, it is. So speaking about public transit, I want to do like some kind of comparison to like Japan's public transit. Just for me, I
Okay.
consider Japan's like public transit to be like amazing, phenomenal, like a lot better than the United States in a way. And I had this video to kind of show people, but like I guess like people on KSC.com can't listen to it, can't like watch it, but I'll describe it soon. I'll describe it after I play it, but there's audio. Okay, and I want to press play. And essentially me going on a slope to get into the train or to get into like the light rail train. And basically a staff member puts down the ramp, puts down the slope, and then I just go into the train. Yeah, and that's the video for the YouTube, but I could explain it a little bit better because I have some notes on it. So first, to kind of use the train system, you have to go to the staff counter and basically just ask for a slope and like tell like which station you want to go to. And basically they just put you like on the side and they will find a staff member to bring you like to the railings. And they have like a slope on hand. And the slope is basically a ramp. And it's just for us wheelchair users to kind of get into the train. And they place it on the entrance of the train, and then we just like roll on it, and then like the staff member like leaves because of like logistics. I guess like staff members at the counter like calls the station ahead of time to make sure that there's another staff member at the station you arrived at, and like I never had an issue with that no matter what. So like I will go arrive at the station and there will be a staff member waiting by the entrance of the train, and then they have a slope in hand and they place it down and they actually help us like exit. If it's like a huge station like Shibuya station, then they will actually like walk us out like to which area we kind of want to go to, north, east, west, south. and like that's basically the entire process. And I think this entire process is like easier in a way, but it's more reliant on like staff members, because I know for like light rail systems, like this isn't going to be available for, I guess, like the light rail system, because there's not that many stations, I guess, or there's like no stations at all. It's just, yeah. So what do you think about this, Rian?
I think it looks really cool. I appreciate the fact that the platform, like the level the platform is at lines up with the level you board the train at. I honestly don't know why we don't structure our trains like that. Because then, it'd take a lot less effort for the ramps to do their thing.
Theater thing.
And I appreciate the fact that the staff are so reliable there, but at the same time, I can only imagine if you're an inexperienced rider, it'd be easy to mess up and not get what you need because you didn't know you were supposed to tell them or something.
It is. It's awkward when it happens, and I guess like I was kind of worried like in the beginning of like, oh, what if there's no staff member that's there to help me get out? Am I gonna get stuck? But like, I guess like after like a couple of days or like 2 days, I'm like, no, I don't have to worry about that anymore. Plus, it was like
I feel
in
like
Tokyo.
they should have an automatic ramp, though. Kind of like the ones they have on the inner city buses, where it folds into the floor and then goes out. But I guess the concern with that would be, if the other passengers are gonna wait for that ramp to go out, or are they gonna mess it up by stepping on it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're gonna mess it up because it's like my chair weighs like 400 pounds, so they're probably not gonna mess it up.
I
But
mean, like, will they walk over the ramp as it's trying to unfold?
That's what I meant. I mean, like for like my experience in Tokyo, like no one like walked in front of me. Everyone just like went to the other exit. So I think that concern is like okay, I guess. But yeah,
that's Japan though. People are nicer there.
It is in a way they're nicer, in a way. But like I don't think
in a way, yeah.
I don't think this system like would work in like America because people don't care.
Yeah.
Sometimes like people don't care about it. It's like whatever.
Yeah, and relying on staff in America is already so nerve-wracking. Like, I don't know if it would work the same way here if we had that same exact system. Yeah. I just want more things to be automatic so that I don't have to rely on other people to get me where I need to be, especially if they're not used to me needing their help. If they don't know of my existence until they see me. Like I have panicked getting onto the Amtrak train because I couldn't see a staff member and I didn't know if they saw me and are getting help or what. Which has led to some embarrassing moments. But like, it's the worry is real. And it's there for a good reason. So it'd be nice if I didn't have to worry as much about it.
Yeah, it'd be nice to kind of not have to worry about like stuff. But speaking on, I think it's time to kind of talk about airplane accessibility.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
The worst one of them all.
The worst one when we have like patches and stuff about it. And I guess to kind of explain about like the kind of law that's like makes things accessible. It's called the Air Carrier Access Act, the ACAA. It makes it illegal for airlines to discriminate against passengers because of their disability. And like the Department of Caltrans is responsible for enforcing the ACAA, which applies to all flights, and they have to make it accessible. For example, wheelchairs or like other guided assistance that meets. So basically, staff members help guide like people living with disabilities through their like airplane stuff. And and like seating accommodation assistance. So like if you can't walk or like stand, like they will help you get to your like seat. Like from my experience, I can't stand. I don't have like the strength to transfer myself, but like all like the staff members like help me transfer with like the airplane seat, which isn't the best for, I guess, like not most people, for some people, but it's good for others. And this is a issue right here: assistance with loading and storing of assisted devices. So think of it like a power chair. Like Rian was saying that sometimes they break, or they're not like the most, I guess, the best way.
I can't remember the statistic. Let me look it up real quick.
Okay. Yeah, but that statistic is probably gonna be big, which is like kind of consistent with like America in a way. Because like for me, like I went to Japan and I didn't have to worry about like my power chair like being broken and stuff. But like if it's like a domestic flight to like Sacramento to San Diego, I would have to worry about it. It's like I don't know.
So the statistic currently is approximately 28 to 30 wheelchairs a day are damaged by airlines.
That's a lot.
A day.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Is that
it's a lot.
Is that only in like America?
Yeah, that's just for American Airlines.
Oh, American Airlines.
Currently, but that's all we really have expertise to speak on anyway. Yeah. So
but that's fine. Yeah, but that's just American Airlines, right? It's not like, does it count
and we're the ones with the Air Carrier Access Act.
Exactly. But I think like different airlines are like different in a way, because I know for American Airlines, like when I went to Tokyo, Japan, like they put my chair along with like the luggage. But like in Asiana Airlines, it's different. They have like a separate container for my chair. So there's not luggage like directly next to my chair that could break my chair. There's like a box like for my chair, which keeps like power chairs like safer in a way.
Why can't we do that?
I don't know. Why can't we?
Why can't we?
Yeah, but like,
I do want to add that the organization All Wheels Up is working on developing and pushing into law a way for wheelchair users to stay seated in their wheelchair on the plane. And they would use tie downs similar to the ones they use in buses. They're making progress, but you know, given that it's American government they're dealing with, it's gonna take a while still.
Yeah, it's gonna take a long time.
But I'm looking forward to possibly one day flying on a plane in my own chair, because it's bad enough the process of getting in and out of the plane, but the chairs themselves are so uncomfortable for me to sit in. I don't fit in the chairs. For one, I'm too short for it. Two, my scoliosis is not compatible with the chair mold that they have in place that assume that people like sitting in slouched positions for 3 hours, forced slouched positions for 3 hours. And it's the worst thing on the planet. I need to bring like extra pillows with me to like put behind my back in order to feel comfortable when I'm sitting on an airplane.
Yeah, I'm the same too.
Yeah.
I have to have like a big pillow like on my back because I have scoliosis too. We share that. But I can't like my back can't actually like lay on, I guess, like a seat comfortably. Like if I lay down, my head will be like tilted up in a way. So like I like the pillow so I can sit up like all the way, not have to feel like awkward about it. But in my experience in 13-hour flights, it's tough to be in like the same position like every like hour, every single hour, every single second. So like I like to kind of like lay down, like kind of like a little bit flat. Yeah, because I usually just sit with my like family members, so like that's not a problem. Like I could just like rotate my body like 90 degrees and just like lay on them, or in a way because it hurts my butt. Like if you're sitting in the same position, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah,
So
that's
like,
how you get pressure sores. And actually, I shouldn't be laughing. Pressure sores are no joke. They can get infected and kill you. So,
it sucks.
but I have the opposite problem in the
Mhm.
chairs. Your head is forced up. My head is forced down because the curve of the chair on the back is kind of like this, and then the headrest sticks out from that, so it kind of forces my head down. So like my back can't really lay against the back of it fully because of that too. So
Yeah.
we just shove a bunch of pillows behind my back and then I can sit normally, but then I'm just straight up and down and a lot of extra pressure goes on my butt because of that.
Yeah, same. I can't. For me, I can't take much like pressure on my butt. I guess like because of surgery, because I had back surgery, and it kind of like changed my body, like everything. So it's like I can't sit like on my butt for like 24 hours anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
like
I have trouble with that too. If you never notice how I lean to the side, that's because my butt fucking hurts. It hurts really badly, so I'm sitting leaning to the side to get the pressure off of it, and also to wake up my legs because sometimes it cuts off the circulation to my
same.
leg.
Yeah, it does too for me. Yeah.
Yeah, the joys of a fused spine and a tilted pelvis.
That's fun. Not really. Yeah, but
My least favorite part is the aisle chair.
yeah,
It's
the
my
aisle
least
chair.
favorite part.
Like, I think for like some people, like for you, like it's uncomfortable, but for me, it kind of like keeps me like safe in a way, because I don't want my arms to kind of hit like the chairs and stuff, and like yeah, it kind of keeps me safe in a way, and also I can't balance myself. So
Are
it's
you
like
skinny? Do you have a small butt? I have a
no, I don't.
big butt. I have a big butt,
Same.
and it hits along every single chair. My thighs hit
Mhm.
every single chair all the way back to wherever the fuck I'm seated, and it hurts
Mhm.
very badly. I'm able to keep my arms out of the way because I have enough strength to lift them out of the way and do the arm crossing thing they require you to do. But I have a very big ass, and it hurts every time I use the aisle chair because the aisle chair is this skinny little thing the width of my computer, and it is not enough
Is
to
that enough?
protect my ass.
Yeah, it's that. I guess the chair isn't universally designed for everyone. It's only
not.
it's not. It's only like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like it really depends on like your body type, and yeah, just depends on everything like that.
It's
Sometimes it's
also
helpful.
really rickety and absolutely terrifying to ride in because it'll keep lurching forward because of my body weight distribution.
Yeah,
Scary.
and I guess that chair also hurts my butt too, because usually there's not like a lot of cushion. It's pretty hard, like right?
Yeah. Luckily, I'm not in it for like an extended period of time.
That would suck.
But like seatbelts and armrests hitting the side of your butt for like a solid minute is not an enjoyable experience. I don't care what sort of kinks you're into. That's not something anyone would enjoy.
Yeah, it wouldn't be.
Sorry, did that get too?
No,
Was that too much?
No, it didn't.
Just checking. I mean, I know we're all in college.
It's just a tangent. It's just a tangent. Come on. Yeah. I guess I wanted to talk about like towards the end, like we kind of get out in the same way, right?
Yeah.
Like we get out like when everyone else gets out, because it gets complicated sometimes, and like sometimes
you're
like
always the last to get off, so you have to plan ahead for that.
Always the first one to kind of get on though. It takes over like an hour and that, and like sometimes like they give me like the wrong chair. Sometimes I guess like they give me like one time when I went to Tokyo, the only time I went to Tokyo, they gave me like a really small chair that I couldn't fit into, and like they thought that it was my wheelchair, but there was like another wheelchair user in that plane too, so it wasn't my chair. So it was like kind of like a mix up, right?
Yeah.
I hate when that happens.
speaking of wheelchairs, my family and I are fully aware of the risks associated with entrusting any U.S. airline with your mobility aids.
That's a big issue.
It doesn't have to be a wheelchair. They will wreck your shit. I mean, I'm sure many people are aware how notorious U.S. airlines are for like broken items in their luggage bags. That's because they treat your luggage the same way they treat our mobility aids. There's not an ounce of caution there. And we're fully aware of this. So what we try to do to mitigate this whenever we absolutely have to bring a power chair, which is very rarely, we usually bring a manual chair that can be, dismantled and brought on as carry-on. We detach the armrests and bring kind of duct tape them to the seat. We set the back of it to go down enough so that it'll fit in the cargo window, because the cargo window is not big enough for a full-size wheelchair.
Yeah, it's that.
And we don't trust them to be able to adjust that by themselves. We mark the areas that are safe to grab and not safe to grab with colored duct tape. We put a sign with instructions in multiple languages on the chair in full view. We wrap the controller in like a towel and duct tape the towel together so it's like, insulated from any possible harm. We prepare my wheelchair for war pretty much. And then we send it in. And even then, we have our scary moments. Because one time we were seated kind of just right outside where they load the cargo.
Yeah.
And they kind of, we watched them struggle to figure out how to get the wheelchair onto the conveyor belt that puts it into the luggage hold. And apparently they didn't realize they didn't have all the brakes on, because one brake was on and one was not. And we figured this out by watching, because when they finally got it on, it started turning on the conveyor belt. And one by one, the wheels started to get off of the conveyor belt. And it was about to fall onto the tarmac before they got like 6 different workers all rushing to catch it before it fell. Like, that almost gave my mom a heart attack.
Yeah, and this is why like I don't really trust like airlines in the United States or like domestic flights, because it gets scary, because sometimes they don't really care about it anyways, or they make like those mistakes. It's scary. I know, like for me, I'm like similar in a way. When I went to like Tokyo and Korea, and that's the only time I took apart my chair and went like in a power chair. So what my dad like did was to take it apart in a way. Like there's this like bolt that connects like the back part of my chair and the bottom part of my chair. So he kind of disconnected that a screw, something, I don't know, and then put the back side of my chair on top, like on top of like the seat. So it made like the height like smaller, because like it doesn't fit in like a full size wheelchair, because the height is so like small. It's like, I don't know how much it is, like more than 30 inches, or
the window for the luggage must be like a little less than half the height of a doorway, because
like 3
my
feet.
wheelchair is about half, and it's like a good half foot less than that. So
yeah, so it's like 3 feet, I think. And like my dad had to like lower it down so that it could fit. But on the other hand, like in like Asiana Airlines or like Asian like airlines, they have, like I said earlier, they have like a box just for my chair, so I didn't have to take it apart at all. But I did have to like, well, yeah, something else that I forgot to mention.
Leave the chair. You can't ride in the box, but at least you know your wheelchair is safe.
Safe from other stuff. I forgot to mention that I take off my armrest, because I don't think my armrest is gonna last like during that flight, because my chair will be shaking a lot. And like I
Yeah.
don't leave any like loose ends, I guess. And another thing that I forgot to mention is that I bubble wrap it. So I make sure that they make sure my parents and my brother make sure that if it drops, there's still cushion on it.
Right. That takes a lot of bubble wrap.
It does. We did like a whole like packet, and we have to like reuse it too because we took around like because I went to I think I went to Korea for like a week, and then I went to Japan after that, and then went home. So that's like a total of like 6 flights. I'm not doing math right, but it's 6 flights, I think. I'm not even doing math at all.
We fly pretty frequently, but it's rare that I have to bring my power wheelchair. Usually what we do is we bring this kind of manual power hybrid. It has a controller, so I can control it independently, but it's very bare bones, and you can take it apart completely.
Yeah,
so that's how we are able to bring it as a carry-on, because we just
it's very
take it
light,
apart
right?
and stick it in a bag.
Yeah, it's very light. Okay,
Yeah.
I think we should talk about the mask mandate now. We have like 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
We should probably
Bit
talk
of
about that.
news here. I would be shocked if you didn't hear this already, given how it blew up. But last week, the mask mandates for public transportation was overturned by a federal judge, and it was most notably, it was announced mid-flight for a lot of people, which meant that mid-flight, people took off their masks en masse and started celebrating, and people who kept their masks on were met with disdain and hostility. Not outright, but treated as a party pooper or, a rude person for daring to keep their mask on. And I heard that some flight attendants even brought out champagne to celebrate the mask mandate ending.
Yeah, and
like,
they've even had like trash cans too. They were walking around with trash cans to kind of throw away their mask. Yeah,
absolutely ridiculous. And my biggest gripe was the fact that they couldn't wait until they landed to announce it. Like, it feels incredibly coercive and hostile to announce that sort of thing mid-flight when you're thousands of feet in the air, there's nowhere to escape, and you're surrounded by people who think less of you for keeping your mask on. That's not a great combination. And not to mention the amounts of virus that are going to be in the air because of that. Like, you do get fresh air, what is it, every 60 seconds on an airplane because of the filtration systems in place. But that being said, that's not a foolproof protection, and if a bunch of people aren't wearing their masks, there's only so much that filtration can do before you are exposed to the virus in a significant way.
Yeah. I think for me, like what bothers me the most is, I guess, like people taking off their masks like mid-flight. Like it's fine if the United States vote for like no mask mandate. It's not fine, but it's fine because that's how like the government works. But what's bad about it is that they announced it like mid-flight because people living with disabilities like, chose to like go on an airplane with the assumption that people will have masks. But as soon as like they take off the mask, like the risk just goes up a lot higher, and like maybe like they don't want to take that risk. If people are not wearing masks, then people like don't want to take that risk. But maybe like everyone wears masks, risk is fine.
And the thing that gets me is that airlines are so strict about literally every other thing in existence. You can't bring 2 large water bottles. You can't wear shoes walking through TSA. You have to get a pat down. You can't bring a bunch of like everyday items just in case they could be used to commit a
Mhm.
terrorist act. You can't pull out things that would cause a severe allergic reaction to people and stuff like that. Like if somebody has a peanut allergy, then they're within their full rights to confiscate your peanuts from you, whatever. But they're totally fine letting COVID run rampant in the middle of a flight.
Yeah.
What? Like, COVID has killed more people than 9/11 at this point. Do we care or not? The answer is not. But do we care or not, right? Like, if we're gonna make that big of a stink about 9/11 that happened like over 20 years ago, why aren't we making a stink that's like 20 times bigger about COVID? Right?
Yeah, just makes sense. Yeah, and another thing that I wanted to mention is that, like, for me, like when from Tokyo to like back to Sacramento, I took a flight to LA, and basically what they made me do was, I guess like they didn't like transfer my chair to the flight that goes to Sacramento. They made us like take it and go through like, I guess, security, and they basically made us like take apart all the bubble wrap, take apart my chair so that they can look like what's in it. And it took like over like 30 minutes, and plus you're like kind of running late. But for what? Like there's no reason they should be like doing that.
It's just a wheelchair.
It's just a wheelchair. There's nothing there.
The previous staff can verify that it's just a wheelchair.
There's nothing there. It doesn't even make sense. And it just wasted so much time. Like people got pissed off. Like my brother got pissed off. I got pissed off. Everyone got pissed off. Cause it's like, why? Why is that thing? It's just a wheelchair. It's not gonna hurt anyone.
Yeah.
But people were saying like it's protocol.
I hate TSA for a variety of reasons, and that's one of them. They get so suspicious over things that are very obviously
and I think it's mostly
tools.
It's mostly due to like protocols and stuff. It sucks because like
but even then they regularly mistake average items that are fine with things that are not fine, and it's like, but dude, you need to check your knowledge there, or go back to school or whatever, because that is not a terrorist weapon. It's just my charger for my wheelchair.
Doesn't make sense.
It's not a taser. It's not a bomb. It's a charger.
It's just a charger.
Do you get pat downs? I get pat down a lot.
Yeah,
it's really awkward.
Everyone gets pat downs. I remember that there was a time
when
they
can't go through the scanner.
Yeah.
If they can't go through the scanner, they get pat down.
Yeah, not everyone. Okay. But they kind of put me like off to the side, like in a room, to kind of like pat me down more in depth, kind of, in a way. Just I don't know why, but it happens. Yeah, I'm going back to the mask mandate. Like sometimes people like on Twitter, people are bringing up like if you are I guess immunocompromised, then why are you on a plane in the first place? But it's like they took their risk under the assumption that people were wearing masks. But once you take away that risk, it's like it's gonna be stressful. It's gonna be hella stress.
And what if you don't have a choice because the closest medical facility that needs to treat the reason you're immunocompromised in the first place is like 2 states away? Cancer patients, for example, like you're gonna risk cancer patients' lives when they're on their way to treatment to beat cancer, and you're gonna be the one to kill them from COVID within the week.
Yeah.
Hello?
It doesn't make sense. And plus, like other people on Twitter were saying, like if you're like worried about your health, and like why don't you just like drive everywhere? But that
stance is so dismissive.
Yeah,
like
it is.
Oh, if you're vulnerable to this thing, then why don't you just avoid public and avoid everyday life, avoid everybody around you, live a solitary life and never leave your house? Why don't you just never leave your house? And it's like, well, if you get to go out and do shit, then why can't I go out and do shit too? Why is it my responsibility to keep myself safe when you're the one making the outside world unsafe?
Doesn't make sense. And like with the driving part, it's like, oh, you have to go drive 2 states away. Oh, 5 hours. And like that's really tiring too. Like,
especially with the gas prices that they are
oh
right
my
now.
gosh,
Like,
yeah.
and
The
not
most like
everyone who is immunocompromised can even drive. I can't
that is the
drive.
thing, yeah. Yeah, and the most cost-effective thing is to take that risk and go on an airplane. Like that's the
Yeah.
most cost-effective thing. Like if you're traveling like
And
really
just
far.
like that, mid-flight, their life was put in danger without any prior warning or consent.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense in my head. I wish the world wasn't like that. But I'm glad like some like pilots, I guess most pilots, didn't say anything at all. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's like better. But I know like on Twitter, like it's trending that that pilots talked about it, like no more masks. But like I'm glad there's still like pilots out there who care.
It just frustrates me on another level as well because in each flight there's like what 100 people or so, and that's
Depends.
like that many more people dispersing into the population, putting people in danger by spreading the virus because they didn't want to wear a piece of cloth for another 2 hours.
I mean, like even like bigger flights, like 300 people, that's even more stressful.
Yeah, it's. I don't know what people are expecting from this. There's gonna be an explosion of cases.
Yeah.
But they're not even gonna be recorded because we're not recording cases anymore. So people are gonna pretend that it's fine when it's not. But that doesn't matter because the hospitals are still going to feel the brunt of that.
Yeah.
People are still going to continue to be disabled en masse from long COVID. People are still continuing to die from it because of either being immunocompromised and catching COVID, or COVID itself just knocks them out despite being in perfect health. Like, it drives me up the walls that not just that people aren't taking this seriously, but that authorities aren't taking this seriously. It's one thing for a band of general public people to be all pissy about it and not want to follow the rules because, oh, I hate the government. But it's another thing entirely for the government to betray us like this. This came from a federal judge, and it affected a huge authority that impacts transportation across the nation. That this isn't entirely the government's fault. They have betrayed us, and we are going to feel the brunt of it. We, as in the people vulnerable to this thing in the first place. It feels very violent.
Yeah, it feels like they're not keeping us like safe in a way, and
They
it's
just
such
don't
that
care.
yeah,
They don't care if we perish. In fact, I'm pretty sure they'd rather that we do perish because then, all the weak people can die so that the rest of us can get on with our lives and ignore the virus. But that's not how that works. You can get reinfected with COVID any number of times, no matter how the infection before went, and you can catch long COVID. You have a good chance of developing long COVID every time you get infected. And the people that get long COVID are going to be even more vulnerable the next time they catch COVID. It's not a situation where you can say, oh, let's just let it run through the population, weed out the weak, and then everything will be fine and we'll all be immune. There is no immunity to COVID. You can catch it multiple times. You can try to protect yourself from it, but there's no true immunity, which means you need to be vigilant about it all the time. And besides, sacrificing the weak isn't a good policy anyway, so I don't. I hate this country so much.
Yeah, I guess with that note, we're gonna end it really soon. COVID sucks. Sad.
Ending line. I hate this country so much. Yep, I guess that sums it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess do you have any last words?
We're good at podcasting.
That's it? Okay.
Okay,
so
I don't know. William isn't here to say it, so we're good at podcasting.
Yeah, we are. So, this is the end of our podcast episode. We talk about accessibility in public transit and in the airplanes. And we also talk about the mask mandate, how that's like off like in like public transit and the airplanes. And we also talk about Japan's public transit system, which is better than the United States. The United States needs to improve a lot. But yeah. So actually our sixth meeting, general meeting already passed, but you can still check the recording on YouTube where we talk about accessible like gardening because there was Earth Day, obviously. And like other events we have is support event session on April 29th at 6:30 p.m. And there is another one, social media and disability on May 5th at 6:30 p.m. And to kind of get more information on that, you can check us out on Instagram at DanaSXState. We post episodes every Mondays at 12 p.m. on KSSC.com and on YouTube. We have a, I guess we have, I guess we have a podcast and club meeting schedule like up to, but like the podcast is gonna end soon, or like the season 1 is gonna end soon. So I'm looking to kind of like reinvent through our lens in a way during the summer. So if you missed anything or the previous meetings and club meetings, check us out on YouTube where we post our recordings there at Dana at Sac State. Thanks for listening. Bye everyone. Hashtag Where's the Ramp?
You're listening to Through Our Lens with the Disabled and Non-Disabled Alliance at Sacramento State, a club, organization, whatever, for disabled students, staff, and their allies to discuss and educate each other about disability-related topics, advocate on behalf of disabled students and the community, and to hang out together and just be a community.
So we want to be more recognizable to Sac State. So please join the conversation by following and messaging us on Instagram at Dana at Sac State. It's DANA at Sac State.